BMR is a mineral processing company specialising in the extraction of lead and zinc from the vast tailings deposits at the world-famous Kabwe mine. And I am joined now by the chairman and the chief executive, Alex Borelli. Now, it might be world famous to you and I, but to those who don't know about the Kabwe mine, tell me a little bit about it.
Well, Zambia is the centre of one of the centres of the mining industry in Africa, particularly known for its interest in the copper belt. We don't have any copper interests, however. We have got assets at Kabwe from a mine that was in operation from 1904 for the next 85 years. And over the process of the mining operations, these large tailing dumps have been built up in Kabwe, which means two things. First of all, the tailings dumps contain enormous value, and we own those tailings dumps, and we can convert with our methodology the tailings into zinc and lead concentrates. The other thing about Kabwe, and why it's known in particular in the markets, is it's very polluted. Tailings dumps are huge dumps, literally dumps of product, and they blow around. There is a polluting risk there, and the World Bank is looking heavily at Kabwe in order to try to tidy up the pollution there. So we believe we have a methodology in place that is going to convert the tailings into zinc and lead concentrates, which has two things, three things, four things. First of all, it creates value for shareholders. We can generate sales out of them. We're cleaning up the lead and zinc in the environment. We're giving employment to Kabwe, and we're having a good time doing it as well. So I think it's a very exciting opportunity.
So if I was to come to work for you, would I need a nose mask on and a sieve, or would you say, Sarah, there's no need, but because of our patented methodology, you don't need to get that close to the tailings?
Well, that's a good question. I'm sure if you wanted to join us, we could find a role for you anywhere.
Thank you.
But we don't wear the masks. There is a danger with the dust that does blow around, and it does pollute. We keep people off the tailings because it's not safe really to do that. And we plant, there's lots of agricultural planting that goes on in order to keep the tailings bound into the surface. I think when they start blowing around, there is a danger for people, but there are no masks, no.
The methodology that you spoke to me about in your first answer, is this, is it patented? Does this methodology belong to you? Could peers possibly come to you and say, teach us how to do that?
Well,
is there a commercialization opportunity in your methodology?
Yeah, a good question. We have, I started at the company over 12 months ago, and I had to tidy up the legacy issues that the company was involved with, that former shareholders will know about. The next thing I did was to recruit a good team in place, and the mining operations are led by Jeremy Hawke, who's of mature years, who knows his market extremely well. And he has worked closely with consultants in South Africa in order to develop the methodology for conversion of the tailings. Now, it's an acid additive that goes to the process, so we have to be very careful about the treatment of that. And we believe that we are creating something that is quite a unique process when all put together. So it is something that we would look to patent at some stage once the business model has been seen to work. So you're quite correct, it's quite a unique process. And then we would look to expand the nature of the business by perhaps acquiring other tailings dumps with zinc and lead, maybe, that then we can apply our own process to and create more value for shareholders.
Okay, but it still sounds to me as though it's very time and labour consuming. Am I right, or have you managed to streamline the process and you'll soon manage to get the good stuff from the muck?
The processing is, we believe, now fairly straightforward. And in terms of timing and people, just to answer those points very quickly, the important thing is that we apply to the Zambian Environmental Management Agency for permission to treat the tailings with acid. So it's all part of our process. We are working closely with ZEMA to get their approval. We expect to submit our final report in the next few months. We then give ZEMA a period of time to approve the process, after which will be Q1 2016, we believe. After that, we build the plant itself, and hopefully we'll be commercially producing revenues by the end of the calendar year 2016. So in answer, it's a fairly quick process in mining terms for us, but we are a processor and not a miner. And secondly, we would look to have a lot of local people employed. So we have 30 people in Kabwe at the moment. That number could rise to a couple of hundred people fairly easily, because we would look to generate and process 5 tons an hour, 24/7, and we need a number of people to help on the process.
What are shareholders' attitudes towards processors, and are they giving you enough support that will see you to the end of 2016 when you hope to be cash generative?
First of all, the mining sector has been out of favour for the reasonable near term going back in the past. So there is a demise in the mining sector generally. However, we believe that we are a processor and a recycler. And I think if we were to be called BMR Recycling, perhaps we'd have a much better rating. But the shareholders have given us support. We about the same price we've been at for most of this year. And we have just raised £750,000 within the last month at a price of 4p a share. I have a research note here from
WH Ireland,
our nomad and broker, who say that the value of the company at the moment is 10p a share. That's as it stands, and I think as we start commercially producing, the value of the company will go up. So we do have very good support from our shareholder base. We have over 2,000 shareholders who are mainly retail investors though. At this stage we don't have any institutional investors. So the AGMs are quite entertaining.
Okay, it's entertaining, but what, because the air goes blue, or?
It's entertaining because I get a lot of questions from shareholders. There was a bit of history to the company. I think they felt I suspended the shares for 6 months while I was cleaning it up. I think they thought they'd lost all their value until the shares got their listing back. We're now back trading on AIM, and I think that the only future is up.
There's no shame in relisting, is there? Because I suppose that what you did was you perhaps capitulated, possibly deconstructed before you reconstructed, and you wouldn't have relisted until you were absolutely certain that there was a good business model in place.
There are 2 or 3 things about the listing. I mean, first of all, the company on AIM has to be suitable. It's a definition that's applied by the AIM regulation, so we have to be suitable for listing, which means we've got working capital sufficiency, we've got a viable business model, and we have a proper board with corporate governance there. We also need to have our accounts signed off, and we need to have an adequacy of working capital going forward for 12 months to get the accounts done. So we were able to get the accounts done. I reached a settlement agreement with some parties from the previous management of the company, got £1 million back in. That enabled us to clean up the accounts, produce the accounts, and agree with the nominated advisor that we were suitable for listing. So the listing came back, and shareholders have benefited, I think, from that.
My final question is a cheeky one. What methodology did you use to get that £1 million back?
That was settling with the parties before. I can't go into that. Terms of that are very confidential.
I'm sure. So when you and I meet again, what will the story be?
That we are in production, that we're generating revenues, and hopefully looking forward to cash flow generation as well for the company.
Brilliant.
But thank you for interviewing me today.
You're more than welcome, and thank you for entertaining me, Alex Borelli, Chief Executive and Chairman of BMR Mining. But you wouldn't discount maybe calling it BMR Recycling in the future?
That's quite a clever choice of words there, or we might even be BMR PLC. But maybe to distance us from mining would be better.
Okay, nice to hear your ambition. Thank you very much.
Thank you.